Ready. Play.
Looking at the women's final 16 matches that we already have set, obviously in the bottom half of the draw there, can you understand why a lot of people have been salivating on social media about this group of 8 players coming up against each other?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's pretty rare for me to be this excited for an Indian Wells or like any, honestly, any main tour event day. But when I see both the men's and the women's draws here, yeah, Tuesday, is it? Yeah, Tuesday is going to be phenomenal.
Rybakina Andreeva is at the top of my list here. Andreeva, the number 9 seed, Rybakina, number 7. Just before we sort of get into the ins and outs of the match itself, it's quite difficult to evaluate Rybakina's 2025 because she's kind of, she's getting the results of a player ranked between 5 and 10 in the world. She's making quarters and semis, and here she is in the round of 16. I think she may have lost 4th round in Australia, but of course that loss to Madison Keys aged pretty well with Madison going on to take the title. It was 3 sets as well. So, and yet we probably still think of bigger things. And then, of course, there's the whole backstory with the coaching situation as well. So, but it's not like we've seen a collapse amidst this, or even just 2 terrible tournaments in a way, like crazy early defeats in first or second rounds. We're sort of just seeing a level of consistency, but deep down we know she can do a little bit better.
Yeah, I think it's pretty tough to evaluate any of the top, the common top 4 that we often talk about on the WTA circuit. Like Goff looks like the best player in the world up until Australian Open quarters, and then loses 3 matches in a row, hits 21 double faults against Uchima here. Swiatek is making semis, but like that's actually a little below her usual standard. Sabalenka has one good event, really. She won Brisbane, but after the Australian Open, she's also struggling a little. And then Rybakina, yeah, I've seen people putting her at like, number 3 in their power rankings or something like that. I can't even say that's wrong because, as you said, it's just very hard to put her in any sort of like group there. It's clear she's still among the elite. We just don't know like how much. And obviously, with a career like she's had the last couple of years, it's like the slams that we mostly care about because that's where she's been underperforming for the most part. But yeah, even if she's not dominating the tour alongside Swiatek like she was this time last year, it seems like she's definitely up there. And also she has a pretty good streak in Indian Wells now, 8 wins in a row. Of course, she won the 23 edition, didn't play last year. Seems like that's something to look at. And also Andreeva is on an 8-match win streak of her own. It's just, a more classic win streak from Dubai. That includes a win over Rybakina. So I totally get why this is a matchup where people will be salivating.
Probably the conditions in Indian Wells, just basically maybe and should favor Andreeva a bit more than Dubai. If you said, look, they're going to win 1 match each, I would probably go, you know what? I think Rybakina will win in Dubai and Andreeva in Indian Wells. Not with any great certainty. I mean, by the way, Rybakina was up a break in that match, and I think Andreeva just sort of felt relaxed as she went down a break in that 3rd set. She certainly said so afterwards that, like, I thought I was done. So maybe that helped me end up pulling the match around because I think she was 3-1 down and wins 5 games in a row. The previous match they had that Rybakina won was also a 3-setter in 2023, Andreeva's breakout year. That was in Beijing. So it was obviously her breakout that year, I think, came in Madrid with some of those big wins over Leila Fernandez, among others. But then Rybakina beat her there in 3. So yeah, another really, really tricky one to call. I wonder if it goes, if it does go the 3 sets and it's 3-all in the 3rd, whether Rybakina can dig deep, especially with the memories of Dubai. So that would be a concern. But equally, Rybakina could just be up a set and a break pretty quickly, as only she can, arguably. Maybe there's 2 other players on the planet can do that pretty quickly too. So a head-to-head of 1 each. I'm leaning for a Rybakina win, I think, because she's won the title here before, but not much else is suggesting to me with any great confidence. I mean, I didn't see the Andreeva-Towson match, but for Andreeva to win that 6-3, 6-love is, an extremely impressive result given the year that Clara has been enjoying. Rybakina beating Katie Bolter 6-love, 7-5 in the previous round. I think that's just about levels more than anything else. That, this is the absolute elite that I know that Bolter could live with Iga Swiatek earlier this year, but even then she still sort of ended up not beating the pole. So that's not exactly a surprising result. If I then just delve back a round or two before that, of course, Rybakina getting a bye in the first round before the second round, where she beat Susan Lehman's friend of the show, and before that win over Katie Bolton that I just highlighted. Clara Towson, who's been in amazing form this year, beating Osorio before then losing that match to Andreeva. Andreeva beating Grasheva in the previous round.
Yeah, it's tough to say with the contrast between the conditions you mentioned in Dubai and Indian Wells. Clearly, Rybakina loves the high bounce. I mean, she's a tall girl. She doesn't want to bend the knees too low. It could limit Andreeva's ability to counterattack a little bit. But she had a pretty good warm up, Andreeva, I think, with that match against Towson last night. That's a similar opponent, very powerful opponent, and she can do nothing to Mirra on this court. Literally, it was just the damage isn't, her shots aren't doing the damage, and then it's the movement edge time and time again. I mean, in the rallies, it's clear that Mirra is going to eventually outmaneuver her, which could be pretty similar against Elena, I guess. It's a tough one to call for sure. Just simply on the fact that Mirra won in Dubai, it's kind of tempting to go for that again. But if she's able to produce another run here, this would be a real, I'm at the top right now. I'm not, a breakout prospect. I'm not someone who you're waiting for. I'm here.
She's already sort of ticked off. If you sort of want to tick things off for her, I mean, she made a slam final last year, but if you just said, look, win a big title in 20, semi-final, of course she lost to Paolini. But that's obviously a huge step forward for her. I mean, I know she was obviously devastated that she didn't bring her best that day against Paolini, but nevertheless, coming into this year, win a 1,000, maybe make a slam final, make yourself a part of the top 10, and she's ticked off 2 of those, especially if she stays in the top 10, and I think she'll be. It wouldn't surprise me if she stayed there. Also, wouldn't surprise me if she sort of, bounces around a bit. If she can't sort of, get that consistency that's normal for people of her age. But this match against Rybakina, it's funny because, the Dubai one being a bit quicker and maybe this one being a bit slower. Andreeva, as you said, maybe against big hitters has a bit more of a chance to defend in the slower conditions at Indian Wells, and therefore that would also fall into the category, in that same category against Rybakina. And yet maybe it's Rybakina's turn to, of course it doesn't work like that, I know, but maybe Rybakina should have won that one in Dubai and she can wreak revenge here. I'm just concerned that if it does get super tight, sort of 3 or 4 or in the third, that I would then be leaning on Andreeva, depending on how the match had panned out before that. But, Rybakina could just be up a set and a break and it's too late for her to get it back. And I'm just going to go with Rybakina just because of the experience of obviously having won this title before.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Mirra based also on the fact how well she's been serving. If she can get a couple of 3 points per set, well, a couple maybe is not enough, but I don't know, 5 3 points per set, that could really mitigate the damage that Elena can do with her.
She gets 2 free points. She gets 2 free points in her first service game. She's up 30-love, and that's it. She's won the match now.
Sort of. I mean, not in a set, but even against Towson, I know it was a 6-3-6 love, but still, it was very meaningful that every once in a while she gets that ace out wide or just an unreturned serve there. I don't think that's something she really had before. Since Dubai, she's definitely been getting a lot of these. Just helping herself with that. So that's also something that in this particular matchup could be huge if it repeats itself tomorrow.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.